Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Profit with Principles. So glad to have you here this morning, and I'm delighted to have with me again this morning my mastermind panel. These ladies are all part of a mastermind that I run, and that I just love the opportunities that we have to work together to help each other grow our businesses, to solve problems. And this morning, we want to talk to you a little bit about goals and intentions, since this is the beginning of the year and a lot of people look to their goals at the beginning of the year. So we're going to go around and have everybody introduce themselves, and then we're going to kick this off and chat a bit about goals versus intentions, what they mean, why you should have one or the other or both, how you work them together. So stay tuned with us because it's going to be a lot of fun this morning. So I'm going to start to my immediate right on the screen here. So Barb Ellison, would you unmute and introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. This is such fun. I'm so glad that we're able to do this every month. Just to be able to get together with everybody, because we do get together every month. But anyways, yeah, my name is Barbara Ellison, and I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And for myself, what I'm finding is so many people are getting to midlife or later, and they're realizing that the life that they're leading right now is not necessarily the one that they signed up for. And but you know what? We all need hand holding, and so that's where I come in. And if that's you, hey, you reach out. It's just such fun to be when you see the light bulb go on, when somebody sets a goal to change something in their life. And so that's why this is such a great topic.
Awesome. Thank you, Barb. And next to Barb Ellison, I have Barbara Sayers. Barb, would you introduce yourself?
I would love to. Barb Sayers with Sister Enterprises. I am a email marketing copywriter. I breathe new life into your dead email list. I also help businesses get virtual reality presence and have their business in the virtual reality world, in addition to whatever other way that they have their marketing. And normally I don't go into these, resolutions and starting the year, but I am excited about setting some good intentions for this year and moving forward.
Awesome. Welcome, Barb. Sherry Knight. Sherry, would you introduce yourself? Oops, we're not hearing you, Sherry.
Thank you.
There we go.
Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever it is that you are from. Yes, I'm in sunny and cold Canada right now, wintertime here. And with that, I work with individuals and small to medium-sized companies. And my whole goal is to help them become more prosperous with their mental attitude and with their outcomes that they're after, because that's what we're talking about today. It's the beginning of the year. And so how are we going to get to where we want to get to, and how does that fit into the life that we want to lead? So when I talk about people, performance, and profits, that's what we're talking about, is how do we get there?
Excellent. Thank you, Sherry. Sean Morris.
Hi.
Would you introduce yourself?
I'm Sean Morris. I am a nutritionist. I live in New Orleans, which is normally sunny and bright, but today it's freezing. I help people to change their lives.
Awesome.
Excuse me. If you need to get your health back, I'm your girl.
Very good. Thank you, Sean. Miss Sandy Knight. Sandy Knight. How about Sandy Lynch? Sandy and Sherry got mixed up by coming out of my mouth. Sandy Lynch.
That's really good. Change my name. I wonder if is that a forecast of somebody I'm going to meet in this year that will have a last name of Knight.
There you go.
My knight in shining armor. He better come to the table with a whole lot of stuff. My name is Sandra Lynch, and I'm in Southern California. So I think it's still dark outside. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm I'm a professional bookkeeper, semi-retired, retirement. I'm coming out of retirement because uh, my Social Security is not sufficient to live on. And my goal is to help business owners to get the foundation for success with having financial literacy and giving people second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, hope, chances. You know what I'm saying? They feel that I met a young man yesterday. He thought his life was over because he lost his job.
Mm.
And I now see why my work is important, because at my age, showing people how to start over is going to be really key.
Very
Really,
good.
really, really key. So yeah, I'm a hustlerpreneur. No question about
Yes,
it.
you are.
which I got some thoughts to put it out here on the table when we're ready to stop and talk about intentions and goals. So I'm
Awesome.
ready. I got my notes ready.
All right. Great, Sandy. Thank you.
And it's a good thing to
And
be here this morning too. Ladies, you're all looking great in 2022.
very good. And Miss Carol Henderson.
Hi, I'm Carol Henderson, and I have Life by Design. And we're going into a new year. It's 2022, but it's 2020 you. And
Mm.
this is the day that you can make a choice to move on, to get better. And that's my goal, is to help people to design their lives to make the most of them. And I'm very excited about this topic of intention and goals and stuff like that, because that's one of the things I love to work with.
Very good. Thank you. And as I mentioned, I'm your host, Regina Bergman, and I empower entrepreneurs to create more profit in their business and to maximize that profit so that they can regain their time, their energy, and their relationships. And that when they're ready to move on to their next adventure, they have a business that they can sell so that they can fund that next adventure, whatever that is in their life. So welcome, ladies. It is a thrill to have you here again this morning. I love also, Barb Ellison, I love that we get to do this every first Monday of the month. So folks, come back every first Monday of the month and join these ladies as we take on a new topic. So let's open it up and talk about intentions versus goals. And that's kind of new for me. I've always dealt with goals. And so the focus on intentions is fairly new for me. Anybody here who's been dealing with intentions a bit longer and working in that realm that would like to comment on that or share about that?
Can I say
Okay,
something?
Barb Ellison and Carol.
Okay, just one of the things that I have found is that so many times we set goals, and I mean, in the past, that was because it was an energy of do. I think now the intention is more into the being also, where that's why this is going to be such a phenomenal conversation of how to combine those two. The thing is that so many people set goals for this year or this next decade based on things that have already happened in the past.
Mm.
And not necessarily always the good things. That they're so caught up in the things that they were supposed to do. Well, I should have gotten this done. Why didn't I get this done? So this is the year I'm going to get this done, without looking at why are they doing it.
Yeah, good point.
So I think that is such a place that people need to start, is let go. Look at 2021. Was there things in your life that, okay, just let them go. You'll never, ever, ever do them. Do not set another goal to do them if it's not something that you're going to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And then the other side of that is to celebrate the things that you did do.
Mm-hmm.
which I think most of us are pretty bad about doing.
We are terrible, especially women. And I'm going to
Yeah.
pick on us girls because especially women, we
Yeah.
don't celebrate.
Yeah.
Celebrate the little things. I don't care how little it was.
And it's even hard for me to figure out how am I going to celebrate? You know, that's a struggle for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you, Barb. Carol?
You have to start there.
One thing we were kind of talking in the pre-show that I don't know that I had ever really thought through. You know, like Barbara said, we're taught to do goals. You know, SMART goals. I mean, we've all had or
Right.
many people. This group has had those classes, but intention is woven through our life from start to finish. And when people all over this country anyway, and I forgot to tell y'all, I'm in Texas. Okay. I'm from Texas.
If you couldn't tell.
No, I didn't think anybody would catch that. But we, you know, in the United States especially, we are taught, you know, to or grow up with the culture of making New Year's resolutions. And those resolutions don't even last through January 9 times out of 10. But those typically are intentions. And I'd never really thought about that. You know, we have to take those resolutions and then put the goal with it, and then the SMART goal and such. But your intentions typically, until they are realized, are there with you forever. Like we were talking about, you know, I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year. And every year it's 20 pounds or 30 or 40 as the years go on. And yet, you know, by the end of January, there was a saying that I saw on Facebook the other day. It says, I'm going to open a business called Resolutions. The first 2 weeks it will have exercise equipment, and after that it's going to be a bar, a wine bar. You know, and I actually posted that, and I had people, I'm in. So, you know, and so with our New Year's resolutions, which are truly intentions, you know, you've got to put the goal with it, or it's going to be there the next year and the next year and the year after that.
Yeah. Sherry?
I just want to add to this, because so often people don't look at what's the life I want to lead. And then how does everything else fit into it? And what you're saying here about, you know, losing weight or whatever it happens to be, how does that fit into the life that you want to lead? And if we don't look at that life, i.e. the intention, if we don't look at that life, then there's no point in setting goals, because we don't know where we want to go. And I think that is absolutely critical, that we look at the life we want to lead. And if we're in business, how does my business help me get to that life? Because it becomes all consuming, and we forget that why we started the business was not just because we wanted a business. It was because we thought it would give us the life we want. So,
and we typically tend to make our business our life instead of it being the tool. Sandy, you wanted to add to that?
I've got a little bit more to add to it. I think number one is our mindset and our language. People say lose weight. I'm trying to watch my tongue, because it becomes our life, and say I want to release excess weight. Because if we lose it, it reminds me about keys and books that I have a habit of losing. And I want to find them again. Granted, they're lost, but with the desire to find. So do we want to lose our weight, or do we want to release it into someplace else and not come back on and find us? So I think our language mindset is really key as well, because we have an intention, but our mindset. And one of the things I heard this morning that I thought, and it kind of hit me, is that our mindset, one guy said something to the effect that, do we feel we're worthy of our intentions? And I think if we can get over that part, then we can identify our intentions, put our language together, write our intentions, then our goals, and then we, as you said, celebrate our accomplishments is so key. I think that might be a good step to achieving what we want and then going from there. Because if our intention is to release the weight, is our intention to have a healthy life free of comorbidities? Is that how you pronounce it, Sean? You know, all of the extra stuff that comes along with excess weight. And then,
Comorbidities.
yeah, that word.
Morbidities,
Yeah,
that word, yeah.
that word. I have trouble with enunciation of words, so saying the right ones, but I think that's really key. And then feeling that we're worthy to receive and live that life. So, and then we have to tell ourselves that self-talk is really, 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 really key.
Yeah, it is. So something you said there, Sandy, that I want to touch on is that you talked about the intention of being healthy. You know, so that's my intention every day, is to be healthier. To be healthy, then I have to set some goals around that intention. And so
Right.
the goal is that I'm going to release those pounds. I'm going to exercise. I'm going, you know, how am I going to achieve that healthiness? And then you have to set the action steps along the way to get
Right.
there. It's not enough to just say, this is what I want, or to say, this is my goal, but you have to create those action steps as well. And then every day, refocus on that intention, I think.
You know, one of the things, and I totally agree with that, one of the things that I became a coach of is called Get Clients Now. And when I was at the federal government's vacation resort, I used that I turned it over to releasing the weight, because my intention while I was at the resort was they were not going to kill me with their food stuff. And so what I wrote down, like 8 action steps that I had to do. And then I made a chart. I had a chart to keep track of, did I do that? Like I had to take my vitamins and my supplements. I had to drink water. I had, you know, so many ounces of water daily. I had to do so much walking or exercise. And then that accountability chart at the back end, at the end of the day, was so, so helpful, because I wanted to be true to myself, because I felt I was worthy of that.
So that accountability piece that you built into that, isn't that, we talk about people stopping like mid-January, they're already off track on their goals for the year. Would you say that a lack of accountability, a built-in accountability, is part of that? Barb Sayers, can we hear from you?
What was the question again? Lack of accountability?
Yeah, that we don't hold ourselves accountable. We don't put something in place. Sandy had the perfect example there of, she put into place something that made her stay on track. She checked it off every day. I did this, I did this, I did this.
Right.
Isn't that lack of accountability a part of why we see people not achieving their goals and not even working towards them past January kind of thing?
We all do better when we have someone with us on the journey. When we're going it alone, it's so easy to get off track, to procrastinate. And it's so much easier when you have someone with you on that journey, whether you call them an accountability partner or just my goal buddy, or
Right. So thank you, Barb. So Sean, what would you say to somebody who doesn't have that buddy? How do they hold themselves accountable?
Well, I'd say get a coach. If you really want to do something and you're having trouble holding yourself accountable, then I find that people who go through my programs, the people who've gone through like the first tier, the just a group coaching, or even one of my free programs, you know, they decide they can do it on their own, and for a while they can. But at a certain point, they lose their motivation, and that is when they come back to me, and they ask me to be a private coach for them because they know if they are paying me to do it and they have to send their food logs to me daily, and now that's all electronic, it comes to me automatically. Just knowing that I'm looking at it gives them the motivation to stay on track.
Very good.
And it doesn't just happen with weight loss. If you have a business goal you're having trouble getting your mindset on, hire a business coach. I also have a writing coach. If you need to do something and you can't make yourself, or you don't have access to a friend who's going through the same journey, hire someone to help you get through it. If that is really your goal,
Yeah.
and your intention is your why. Your goal is how you're going to get there.
I like that.
You have to know why you're going to do it. If you just set a goal and it doesn't have any personal meaning to you, you're very unlikely to achieve it. You need to
Right.
have that intention behind it.
And that comes back to a lot of what Barb Ellison was saying about making sure that the goals that you have set for that period of time, whether that's the new year or whatever that is, that they really are relevant to where you are now and not just based on historical or I shoulds.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to lose 20 pounds because you think you should be thinner, but you don't really have that big investment in it,
Yeah.
you don't really think of yourself as being overweight, you just think that you should be
Right.
smaller.
You're not going to, yeah.
It's
Not
really
gonna
hard
work.
to lose that last 20 pounds because you don't really want it.
Right.
And I would say that you're probably good right where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Barb Ellison, you had a comment there.
Yeah, one of the things that Sean, it's not necessarily, most people think of the new year as losing weight, but sometimes it can be something else. And one of my things was that over these last few months, I've been doing some social media stuff, and I kept hearing, oh, you need to do something out on TikTok. And yeah, okay, fine, yeah, okay, yeah, fine, yeah, oh yeah, okay, fine, one of those things. Well, last week, a friend, she is called Sherry the Shepherd. She puts out these videos of when she goes and volunteers at the animal farm and she exercises goats. You can actually go, and it's therapeutic that people can go and run with the goats. It's just hysterical to watch that. But anyways, so she was like, Barb, you could put out some great stuff. So I finally said, okay, fine. I will commit to doing a little TikTok, a 1-minute video on TikTok. Well, of course, January 1st, I had to start. And it was like, oh, do I really want to do this? And it was like, you know what, Barbara, if you don't do it, Sherry's going to come after you. And so now it is so fun because now so now today I'm doing another one after we do this. But for the last 2 days, she said, gee, Barb, you got 400 views. Is have a cheerleader. It doesn't necessarily have to be an accountability partner, but have a cheerleader. Mm-hmm. Somebody that is saying, wow, Barb, I saw you do this. Oh, wow, Barb, you're doing this. You're doing great. Gee, you got so many, just that cheerleader kind of thing. So
very good.
It really helps. So either have an accountability partner where it's like, or have a cheerleader.
Right.
Somebody that's just going to say, gee, Barb, because she's not tied to my business at all, but she just happens to like making videos on TikTok. So okay, fine. Yeah. So,
by the way, TikTok is addicting to watch. Have you guys? It's very addictive.
It's too addictive. Yes. It's like, okay, I just lost 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever.
And
because I looked at one.
Set a timer. Because one of the things, and that's what I loved about what Sandy said about verbiage. You can spend time on TikTok. You can spend time on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is, because it comes under the heading of research.
Yes, it does.
What are people saying? But set a timer. Because then,
and don't forget why you're there.
Job.
Yeah, but she's not just
job.
She just said it
research. what's
Yeah.
going on in the marketplace
Right.
pertaining to your business or
Right.
what you're passionate about, whatever it is, but set a timer.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the timer, that's it. I'm done. I've done my research, and take notes while you're doing it.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, that was a really cool thing. Oh, that was a nice effect. I can use that. Oh, that was a good sticker that somebody had. Do it as
Awesome.
research. And that's where your mindset and your verbiage comes in, but then set a timer.
I
But
like that.
don't you think research, though, we have excuses because once you get, I'm serious, I'm guilty of this until I have to do something, but that research can be really interesting because there's
Okay.
so many different ways. It's
Right.
interesting how the internet has opened up our world to,
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many have gone to the library, the physical library building to get books? Because when I was coming up, that's where we would do our research.
Right.
Now it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Google and YouTube, Google and YouTube.
Right.
That's where we do our research. And now we have to add TikTok because we see how people are putting it into play.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job, ladies. We've got just a minute or two left. I want to give Sherry and then Carol an opportunity to make some final comments. Sherry,
One of
further
the things
thoughts?
I've picked up on that people are talking about it is the celebration aspect. And most people are aware of the SMART goals, SMART, SMART goals, but I always add an S to it. And I know this is not accurate from language perspective, but it puts it in your head, and it's SELL, celebrate. And that means get that, all your senses, smell, taste, touch. What am I missing here? Feel. I'm missing one, and that's normal for me to miss one of them. But sight. Thank you, Regina. That is so important because if you don't know how you are going to celebrate it,
Right.
there's less impact in terms of getting there. So just add that one thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. Carol, final comments?
Wow, this is good. I love hearing from all these ladies. I always learn so much when we're together. But I want to just remind everybody that it's 2020 you. It's about you. Not that you're all that and you're going to ignore other people, but take care of you. It's going to be, we've had a couple of rough years. This is going to be a great year. And take time for you. Take time to sit down in a quiet place with a cup of tea or coffee and write down what your intentions are. Write down what your goals are. Now that you know there is a difference, and write those things down, and then kind of look at them and think about them and put them somewhere where you'll see them every morning when you're having your quiet time. And if you're not having a quiet time, whatever your religious affiliation is, you need a quiet time. Time to just get up in the morning, start your day, reflect on what you hope to accomplish, what you accomplished the day before, changes you might, little tweaks. People don't realize it, but the space shuttle, the moon launch, whatever, we're going to Mars. It is off course over 90% of the time, but they're making those tiny little course corrections as it goes, and then it lands on Mars. Okay. You've got to give yourself a chance to make those little tiny course corrections on a daily basis, and even on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So every week, take a little extra time to check your week. Every month, take even more time to check your month. Make sure you're on course. Make sure that you haven't lost your focus by the middle of January. The further you can take this through the year, take it week by week, month by month, you'll see the changes by the end of the year. It takes a full 2 years to make a total course correction in your life. So don't look out the window and think, oh, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. It takes, I think it's 10 miles to turn a big battleship. And so if they say, okay, we're going to go this direction, and the captain says, well, nothing's happened. 10 minutes later, nothing's happened. I mean, boats go slow. They're not like cars or planes. And so but if you stay the course and do what you're supposed to do, your outlook will change. So if your life isn't where you want it, set a plan, start making the turns, and don't say, "Oh, I give up. I've done this for 2 days and I haven't lost the 30 pounds. It's been 2 days and I watched what I ate and I haven't lost 30 pounds." So, you have to give time for things.
Great counsel. Great counsel, all of you. Thank you. And one of the ways that I do what Carol just talked about is through a daily journal. So every morning I write in my journal and I talk about, what took place yesterday and what's going to take place today and kind of what my intentions are. And it's also a place where I sometimes write my prayers, my things that are really important to me. And it's also a place where I receive answers to prayers when I'm writing. It's a place when I'm more receptive to the Spirit. But a journal is a great way to track that progress and to make those course corrections. And keeping that up on a routine basis can be really valuable in your life. It's been a huge tool off and on in my life. I have to admit, there are times I fall away from it.
Yep.
And then I'm so glad when I pick it back up again. So, all right. Ladies, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to do this with you, and you each bring so much to the table. I love your inputs. I love, your experiences that you bring to the table, and hope our guests or our listeners, viewers have enjoyed this today and have some new thoughts for themselves on their intentions and goals. And one of the last comment I wanted to make in that is, remember, we've talked about business and we've talked about health and weight, those kinds of things, but look at all the areas of your life. Don't shortcut yourself. Look at relationships. Look at, maybe there are some strained relationships somewhere in your family that you need to be working on. Look at, again, the health and the business, those kinds of things. But look at your spiritual life and look at all the areas of your life independently, and then kind of pull all of that together. How do I make this the 20 you, as Carol's saying, this, how do I make this, and as Sherry talked about, the whole person as well. How do I impact all of me? How do I make sure that I'm on track to be the best me that I can be? So thank you again, ladies. It's been a joy. And we wish you all a wonderful new year, folks. This year is going to be fabulous for you. And also have an amazing day and amazing week. Bye-bye.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to this episode of Marketing and Mindset with America's Supermom. Happy Monday to you. I am so excited. We have the first Monday of 2022, and I want to talk a little bit about goals. What is it that you are actually aspiring to do this 2022? Now, many of us have had this time over the weekend to kind of brainstorm, maybe do vision boards. The list goes on and on, talking to people, decluttering, all these different things that we usually do at the beginning of the year to help us get that momentum necessary in order for us to move in the direction that we want to go in the new year that we have just started. And I want to be able to really address this because this is the perfect time to really build that momentum in a way that leads to success. So, as we think about our dreams and aspirations, usually a dream is something that is within your reach, but you're not quite there with it. Okay. It's something that you can see it, you can think you can feel it, you can hear it, sometimes you can taste it, but it's still not there. There is a gap from where you are to where you want to go to get this particular thing. And that gap is the thing that we need to really set ourselves up for success to get there. So imagine a staircase, and you have to get to the top of the staircase to where your desired end result is. You're not just going to start at the bottom of the staircase and skip all the way up to the top. There are some steps that you have to climb in order to get there. It's a journey. Now, is it easy to go up the steps? Usually not unless you have some injury or maybe, I don't know, it's dark and the steps are unfamiliar. But for the most part, we can handle going up the steps if we take it one step at a time. And so this is how we need to really design our goals or the journey for our goals right now at this very second. So, as we think about where we want to be, how can we design our own staircase? How can we design those steps that are necessary in order for us to get to the destination? So, if you think about it, steps progressively get higher, right, at a level that is easy for you, right? So if you've tackled one step, you can tackle another one. It's a succession of the same distance of the steps. So for example, I've had some steps that are really high to step into. But if you have like a normal staircase, all the steps are the same size. They're just stacked on top of each other, right? So it's not like any extra energy to climb the step. The energy is if you skipping over some steps. Okay. So with that mindset, what we want to think about is how we can take these small steps and stack them on top of each other so we can get to the top of that staircase. Now that's a metaphor for things that we can do that are related to our goal. So if you want to be, I love the public speaking example. If you want to be a public speaker, you're not speaking to anybody at all. Okay. So how can you start on that journey? Well, we want to speak and we just want to keep speaking, but we're stacking that speaking up with different audiences. We're still doing the same thing. We're speaking. That's the step. So the step is to speak. So the first thing is maybe you want to speak at a meeting. Okay. Maybe you have work meetings, you have Zoom calls. You're that one that never says anything. You have a million ideas. You tell yourself, this time I'm going to say something. When they ask if anybody has anything they want to add, you cower down and don't say anything. So your first step may be simply to just say, yes, I would like to add to what Sally said or what John said, or I would like to bring up the idea of X. Maybe this is something we might be able to explore. I mean, just using that as an example. So your first step is to speak in a small audience. It could be to speak to your kids, right? Maybe you feel like, you're always fussing at them, or maybe they're never listening. And so it's hard to come to them on a non-confrontational way. So that's your first step, is to figure out a way that you can connect with them outside of being a disciplinarian. Now, I use that example because I have 15 kids, okay? And 10 of them still live at home. So when we get into this little back and forth, I feel like, sometimes I do need to kind of position myself to where I'm not the authority, but that I'm able to listen to them so that they can feel that they need to be heard. So that may be a step. So these are little things. They may not even have an audience at all, but as you do them, you begin to get more comfortable. And so then your audience can grow. So if you spoke at a meeting, then you might speak at a PTA. You might speak, at some public event, right? And then you just keep building. You may get on Facebook, do a Facebook Live or a LinkedIn Live or whatever the case is as you continue to get more comfortable speaking. But you're still speaking, you're just speaking on different platforms, speaking in different places. For me, I call it speaking with a different microphone, right? You have the same person projecting, but you're just using a different microphone, talking in a different stage, right? So that is the whole concept between the goals and the implementation on how we can get these goals going. So I think one of the things, well, actually, I have like 5 things to really kind of think about when it comes to moving forward with their goals, right? The main thing to remember is that we are our own competition. So sometimes when we think about goals, what we do is like we'll get with someone that we may feel comfortable discussing things with. So let's say a public speaker. You get with someone who is somebody maybe they've got a public speaking career or they've been a keynote speaker or whatever the case is. So we get with them, we listen to them, and then we begin to take their story as gospel for us. And so by that, I mean, we expect ourselves to follow the same timeline. We start comparing ourselves to their story, right? And so you want to make sure that you get the research, the information and insight that can help you in your own journey, but your journey is going to be different because you're going to meet different people along your journey. You have a different message. You have so many different perspectives that are not the same. However, there's certain building blocks that you can use. So imagine if you are someone in construction. You may have different tools, but you're still using the same supplies. So you might use a nail, you may use a hammer, right? But your outlook is different because what you're constructing is not a bedroom, it's a closet, or it's not a closet, it's a deck, right? So you see how you have the different places, perspectives, or whatever it is the finished product is. It's not going to be the same, even though you may be using the same nails, you may be using a nail gun and whatever, okay, drywall, but it's still going to be a little different. So I hope that kind of lands with everybody. So if we think about it, we're not supposed to be recreating ourselves like the people that we're getting advice from. We are supposed to realize that we're not in the competition with anybody else. We need to get better from where we were yesterday. So we need to be truthful with ourselves and shine some light on some of our own faults and failures, right? And I'm not trying to say, failure is a bad thing, right? I'm saying failure in the way that we are looking at ourselves, because that's a perspective. Once you kind of get to the point of really recognizing that you're your own competition, you don't even see anything as failure anymore. You see it as feedback and an opportunity to get better. But if we're truthful about ourselves, see, as we evolve, we first have a warped perspective of thinking about things being a failure. That gets us in trouble because that mindset makes it hard for us sometimes to even commit to our goals. We're thinking them and they are keeping us up at night. They are waking us up in the morning, but we're afraid to say something about it. We're afraid for people to hold us accountable because we don't want to miss the mark. And the more we keep things to ourselves and don't seek the help of others that could give us some insight, the more miserable we're going to be, the more regrets we're going to have because we're not going to be pursuing those things that light us up, give us the opportunity to share our gifts and talents and passion with the world. So the first thing to remember is that you are your own competition. You are the only person that you should be comparing yourself to. The next thing is you have to do it one day at a time. Okay, so if I have the desire to accomplish some major feat, let's say that I want to learn how to play the piano. I am not going to be a professional piano player after one session, right? So we have to realize that it's going to be a marathon. With this journey, I have to learn the keys. I have to learn how to put my fingers on them. I have to learn what the notes are, right? Even if I look at the keys on the thing, I still got to know notes. I have to learn how to read music and all these different things. So, with that being the case, you're not going to be able to do that in one day. And if you do, how successful are you going to be able to maintain that level of knowledge? Yeah, you can cram, you can get it all into a day, but how long is that going to last? And how are you going to be able to build on that, with that type of mindset? And so, this is another thing. What we try to do is we say lead generation, for example. Oh, I know it's a numbers game. I want to talk to 100 people a day. Okay, so let's just think about this for a minute. So, if you have 100 people a day, let's say you do that good for 3 days. Okay, you talk to 300 people in 3 days. Let's say half of those people you don't even talk to because what, you had to leave a message, there was no response or whatever. So, half of those people you're down to like 150. Okay, over a period of 3 days, you reached out to 300, but you got in contact with 150. So, the next day, the other 150 reach you. They try to call you, but then you're still trying to do your 100 people a day, right? So that day you work overtime, you talk to the 100 plus the 150, right? The next day you don't feel like doing it. So the next day is the weekend, right? And you don't feel like doing it then. So you wait. And then Monday, you're following up with some people from Thursday, right? For remember Friday, you didn't talk to anybody. So you're following up with people on Thursday. And then Monday, you don't do anything. Tuesday, now, if you're doing 100 people a day, do you see how that piles up? So on Wednesday, if you decide I'm going to go ahead and call these people, on Wednesday, you're back to calling 300 people in that one day in order to catch up for this daily method of operation that you've established for yourself with lead generation. So if we go back and dial it back to one day at a time, we want to make our goals so small that we won't have an excuse not to do them. However, because they are small, that discipline is going to create a momentum in that area. So, one of the things that I did when it came to creating video that has really helped me on this journey now that we have Reels. So I started a couple years ago doing these Facebook Lives, and then I went to record on YouTube. And so after that, I realized, I can do these little mini messages, right? I can do them on my phone. So I started recording these little mini messages because I was still kind of intimidated about getting in front of a camera, being natural, looking at the camera, how comfortable I could be with technical difficulties. So I started recording these 1 minute or less segments. So I was recording them, and this gave me the momentum to keep doing it because it was 1 minute. And so I would say, I didn't like the way that looked. And I can just delete it and do the same thing. Because I had them in small increments, I would spend maybe 30 minutes doing these videos, this one video, but it was giving me the opportunity to master being in front of video because I was doing it in small doses. I was putting myself in a position where I could fix any flaws or mistakes that I made really quickly, and I didn't establish this long drawn out process that I had to relearn something different. So I hope that makes sense. So let's say that I did a whole video and I wasn't looking at the camera, right? So let's say I was saying, oh, let me just do a 10-minute video. So I go on for 10 minutes talking, not looking at the camera. At the end of that 10 minutes, I have to watch it for 10 minutes. But then I realized, oh, I wasn't looking at the camera. So then I have to go back, erase that one, then do it again. You see how it's like, I don't have 10 minutes, things start happening, and I'm creating a pattern with this 10 minutes of doing something wrong rather than just having 30, 40 seconds of something wrong and quickly fixing it. So I hope that makes sense. But if we do things one day at a time, we will have the realistic mindset of thinking, hey, you know what? If I sleep 8 hours, I've only got 16 hours left that I have to cook, uh, deal with my kids with school. In my case, my husband, he may have some things, maybe us talking about things going on with the kids, anything with our household, goals, whatever. Then you've got your business, then you have your personal time if you're going to be working out. I mean, all these things to fit into 16 hours. Housework, right? Maybe some errands you want to run, anything like that. So you start adding all these people and tasks into 16 hours, that time gets eaten up quite a bit. So if you're sitting here thinking you're going to spend an hour out of that precious time doing some lead generation, that's a lot of time, right? But if you say, hey, I'm just going to take 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to reach out to 5 to 6 people, and then I'm going to move on to my next task, because we really don't have a lot of hours in a day. And we really want to do things in a way that gives us momentum for the next day, right? So if you knock out 5 to 7 lead gens, the next day you're going to be more motivated. You're going to have that momentum because it's like, man, I can do 5 to 7. Why am I kidding myself? I could be doing that, with my eyes closed, right? So that's something you'll be like, I'm just going to knock this out. So this is the way you want to think about it. What is something you can do one day at a time? Small doses that you can stack up like that staircase in order to accomplish your goal. And thinking about, you only have 16 hours a day if you're sleeping like you should. Now, many of us, we can even start there. Some of us aren't even sleeping right. So we might want to flip that script and just start getting some good rest, right? And before we start doing anything else. But when we think about it one day at a time, we think about, this is how much time you have. So how are you going to prioritize this time in a way that gives you momentum and allows you to feel good about yourself, feel happy, feel successful, feel productive, right? These type of things. This is what you want to really kind of focus on. How do you want to feel? And what tasks are going to help you feel that way? So I hope that makes sense. The next thing with that is, once you have that insight and information, is to design your day. Now, nobody is telling us how to spend these 16 hours. So it's up to us. How much time do you want to dedicate to family? How much time to your kids? How much time to your errands or anything, miscellaneous time? How much time for you? How much time for your spouse, right? How much time for personal development, business, right? Content creation. So as you start thinking about these different pillars, you have the ability to design your day. So if you think about, what is it realistically that I could put in a day? Now, one of the things that I learned from a podcast is the difference between a task and a project. This was a game changer for me, because for years I was putting project type of things on my checklist every day, and then depressed and anxious about why I didn't get them done at the end of the day. So a task is something that's 15 minutes or less. And a project is something that's more than 15 minutes. So some people might be like, okay, what's the big insight about this? Well, for me, I would probably have maybe 15 items on my list of things to do with kids and nursing and house cleaning and cooking and taking them to school and helping them for homework and packing their lunches. Okay, all these different things I had going on. That's just like normal stuff that wasn't even on the list. I would have things like laundry, dishes, right? Dusting. So a lot of these things were actually projects. For me, there is no part of me doing the laundry that's about 15 minutes. I guess one thing that I could say is maybe it would take me 15 minutes to gather all the laundry from all over the house, getting the basket out of my room, getting the basket out of my kids' room, right? Because I've got 5 or 6 bedrooms to go through if I was doing the laundry, right? And getting that. That's more than 15 minutes. So I would be beating myself up mentally, thinking about myself not being accomplishing anything, being a failure because I didn't get laundry done. Well, laundry was not just a task that I could check off, it was a project. So I was holding myself accountable to something that really wasn't physically possible in the amount of time that I had in a day when I was still trying to manage other things that were project oriented as well. So that really was a game changer for me. So once I realized, even now, I didn't find this out till like a year ago, right? I was like, man, that just really freed me from a lot of that, guilt or shame around beating myself up because my tasks just weren't going away at the end of the day. I would get 4 things done and the list had 15 on it. And I'm wondering, what is wrong with me? But that comes from my history of being an only child and dealing with the issue of being a high achiever. I was able to do things and just focus, put everything on the line when it was necessary in order for me to achieve my goal. And so when I had a family with different dynamics and things that I couldn't control, that was a hard transition for me, which led to depression, 3 hospitalizations, because I just didn't have the tools on how to incorporate what I was good at and what I wasn't good at and creating a system that served me and helped me to be the best version of myself. So it took me a large detour to finally learn after 3 hospitalizations how to get it done. So you have the ability to design your day in a way that serves you. And then the next point is thinking about how you can share that responsibility with other people. This I call allowing other people to shine. See, when I got into the whole concept of thinking about delegation, it was hard for me to delegate because I was so fixed on getting credit for my work. I was so fixed on, hey, such and such, did you see what LaChelle did? It was great. Her kitchen is spotless, or her kids are so well behaved, or whatever. The list goes on and on. I wanted to get the credit, right? So full of myself and ego that I couldn't afford to delegate to anybody because I didn't want to share the spotlight, right? But once I learned that I was driving myself crazy, right? I'm exhausted. I'm saying yes when I really want to say no, saying no when I really should be saying yes. I was all over the place. I didn't know whether I was going or coming. I didn't even know who I was, right? But once I learned to be comfortable with what I was good at and letting go of the things that I wasn't good at. See, if I know that I can talk on video at the drop of a dime, I am not going to be fighting with somebody who is into technology and knows how to program and do code for some other stuff, right? I'm not going to do that. But before, I would have been like, oh, well, let me go ahead and try to figure this out. So I'm up all night trying to do research, figure out things when I can just delegate that to somebody else who could shine and I could sleep at night just showing up, doing my part, which is speaking on the video. So once I was really able to learn that ego doesn't serve you, right? Ego will have you up late at night trying to finish a project. It will have you skipping meals because you still are under this time crunch of trying to learn something in a small window of time instead of asking somebody who is well versed and is an expert. You can share the stage rather than feeling like you have to have all the spotlight. So once I really figured that out, I thought, what is wrong with me? I'm over here stressing myself out, going crazy, doing it to myself, mad, right? When I could just share that spotlight with somebody else. Okay, so find a way to delegate the things that don't serve you, the things that, demotivate you in your day. You think about it, you get up, you're in a great mood, you're excited, you get your workout in, eat a good breakfast or get your coffee, whatever that looks like. And then you have this sitting down at your desk and dreading certain things that are in your day uh items and tasks that you have to do. So why wouldn't it be so much better to just connect with somebody who loves what you don't like, and they can do that for you, and you can get together, have a powwow. They're pumped up because they're doing what they love, you love what you love, and you can have a great conversation, a great partnership. So delegate, share the spotlight with other people. And then the last thing is investing in you. Why would we reinvent the wheel if we don't have to? Right? So we talked earlier about getting the principles, some of the foundational things from other people that have gone before us. And so this is where it really matters, personal development. We get in our own way because we start talking about the things that didn't happen and how long it took us and all this other kind of stuff. I don't have enough money or whatever. Investing in yourself is something that is going to pay off in just big dividends, right? Taking the time to understand that you are really getting clarity, focus, confidence in you so that you can accomplish all that you want to do in 2022. So that is how we can tackle our goals. And if something resonated with you, feel free to share this with a friend, uh, co-worker, anybody that comes to mind, because I think it's so important for us to build each other up and continue to move forward in a way that helps us to be better versions of ourselves and definitely helps us to accomplish our goals and set ourselves up for success. So I want to thank you for watching this first episode of Marketing and Mindset with America's Supermom. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And I would be happy to address any topics that you would like, or we can have a strategy session so you will know what you have to do in 2022. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week. Bye for now.